You're listening to Who's Hot, the UK OCR podcast where Wil Chung, along with elite racers Becky, Neal, Chris Shipley, and the occasional special guest, discuss the UK OCR series and other important races in the OCR calendar to find out who's hot.
Hello and thank you for downloading the latest UK OCR Who's Hot podcast. My name is Wil Chung, I am the presenter, and I am here with my co-presenter, OCR elite racer, Chris Shipley. Hey Chris, how you doing?
You're right, Will, how's it going?
Good, thank you. You got that smile on you. Again, we don't have our other elite racer, Becky, because she's off in Costa Rica at the World Championships. Instead, we have Tamar Barclay. Hello Tamar, how you doing? And thank you for joining us on the show tonight.
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
We're here to talk about the 7th race in the UK OCR series. It is the Beast from Body Hub, Sunday the 1st of September from 10 o'clock. And to join us to talk about the Beast, we have the race director, Daryl White. Daryl, thank you for joining us.
Hey, Will. Hey, guys. Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
It's great to have you on. Now, Daryl, this is a brand new race, brand new to the UK OCR series. And what I normally do on the British members of British Obstacle Sports Facebook group, I just ask questions. Who's going? What do you think? And then at the end, we ask about, what they thought about the race. Basically, I asked, do you have any questions for the race director? I'm going to start with this one because I think it'll be a great introduction. So from Paul Peasgood, what makes you stand out versus existing races?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, first of all, we're a training centre. So our obstacle section, we've kind of expanded beyond our centre. So we have kind of a running section and then back into the centre. So the obstacles it's quite obstacle dense. Chris might want to speak on that a bit later. He was down last weekend, and Tamar has been in the centre a few times. So what makes us different in the races, I think that it's going to be a bit of a challenge in that it is going to be a nice stretch of the legs and then straight in for an obstacle dense and then back out again for a run and then back in for your second beating of obstacles, so to speak. So I think that in itself is going to present quite a challenge, and hopefully that's kind of what maybe makes it stand out a little.
So just to be clear, it's 2 laps, isn't it? 2 laps of 3K, a run out, but very obstacle dense once you're back in the training centre. That's right?
That's right, yeah.
And also then very different from the rest of our races where, we've talked about, especially Sparta Sprint, which was only a couple of weeks ago, very much a runner's course. I'm assuming this isn't so much of a runner's course. Tamar, I know you've been there many times, and Chris, you was there last week. Give us, I guess, a racer's eyes view of what this the obstacle race will entail and kind of the obstacles.
I think we've got to get a good start with the run, because I believe it's about a mile run out of the centre, then back in. And then you've got things like the tyres to climb over, walls, crawls, and then you've got the long rigs that he's just set up. So lots of good rigs like the Toros wheels, the firefighters, some other ones that we've not even seen, they're not even set up. And then it's back out again for that fast run, or maybe not so fast on the second lap, trying not to die, to then come back in again. So, so as a racer, it's very difficult to try and decide what to do, what the tactics are. Do you go out hard and hope you don't die, or get out hard to get ahead of the people in your wave? Very different race.
Yeah. When me and Darren popped down there last week, and we did a little bit of a scout out of sort of what the course might be, and we was well impressed with how that layout at Body Hub is. But with the concentration of obstacles that it's got in the actual area, it's going to make the race so interesting, because once you've done that run out, that 1 mile run, it's an obstacle after an obstacle after an obstacle after an obstacle, and they're quite technically long obstacles. We haven't had that in the UK series probably this year. So for the obstacle proficient athletes, it's going to be like a real good race to see where they can really shine. And I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it's one of those ones that a few of us have been waiting for a while.
I think this is definitely going to whet your appetite, Chris, from what you're saying, because again, at Spartan, you were saying what we don't get in any of our current obstacle races is kind of a block of obstacles. Yes, Spartan had 2 or 3 obstacles, but this is obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. So just I guess I know you're much more obstacle proficient in terms of kind of doing this in the European style. But what are your thoughts about going out hard? Because surely you need to get your heart rate down before you start to attack that set of obstacles.
Yeah, we did a little bit of a test of how it's going to feel after a bit of a run, just hitting them obstacles. Some people who are going to be in the race are really good at hitting it hard to get that lead, because they can run so hard and sort of create that gap. But other people, when they hit those obstacles, they like hit them hard, and I've lost where I'm going completely. But what was I saying? Right. So people who run really fast, get out really hot, they get a lead, and then the other people who are obstacle proficient don't. They have to sit back, work them obstacles hard, and that's where the bulking comes between races, because that's where they get back to each other, and that's where the race is going to really be with this kind of event.
I definitely think it's going to be really exciting to watch, see how the different races go out. And again, if you think like Spartan, you've got all your fast runners going off, and there's not the kind of technical obstacles to allow the people who are better at obstacles catch them up. Whereas I think here you might see some who are not so good runners, but really good at the obstacles. They might catch them up, and again, then it might switch round again. So I think hopefully there'll be that racing element. And because it's so close together, like for the spectators, your spectatability.
Oh, you wait till we get onto that.
Then it's going to be exciting. I can see.
You've been listening to a different one.
I can see a few rivals racing head to head and see how we go. So
yeah.
So Daryl, we've been talking about the obstacles, and we talked about it being a training center. So I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit smaller in terms of waves and kind of going out. How are you working that out in terms of who's going together and how many can go in a particular wave?
So I've been chatting up with James and Alan about this, and yes, they're going to be smaller waves for sure. And what we've done is pretty much all of the obstacles are now double laned where they weren't previously. So we've worked quite hard to ensure we can maximize or reduce bottlenecking, I guess. The idea is waves of 10. I know, Chris, I talked to you about this in the weekend. You weren't sure, maybe it should be smaller. At the moment, it's waves of 10. I'm going to have a little confab with Alan and potentially James again, just to see what they think. And obviously, it depends on final numbers that come in. But the idea of having the run at the start is to kind of feather out the pack a little bit. So by the time you come back into the obstacles, because again, I know you're saying some people are more running efficient, some people are more obstacle efficient, but then there's also tactics come into play as well. So some people might ease off, let that feathering happen, so that everyone's not hitting those obstacles at the same time. But directly to answer your question, it'll be a seeded race, and waves of 10 is what we're looking at, or thereabouts, maybe slightly smaller.
Yeah, those obstacles being so sort of tight and 2 lanes, we did have a little bit of a concern about it, but it all depends. I mean, tactics are going to really play a key part in this now, because you're gonna have to think about how you're going to play that first half. I mean, if you're going to go out too hot, are you going to hit a sort of a clump of people, or are you going to be able to sort of just get past them? I mean, tactics on obstacles when people are on them before you is a tactic in itself, because if you get on that obstacle and you're putting people under pressure, that makes people make mistakes, and it is definitely an element that could change who's going to be on top.
I mean, we saw that when I went to the 3K at the obstacle gym. It was me and Libby and Shyla, and although we had a run to start with, we ended up like on the obstacles together. And like you say, that was where I'd made a mistake. I couldn't get my swing on the ring. But hopefully, if people are not that close together, you can still just follow each other on them. Things like walls, you can go over more than 2 people on a wall, for example. There's enough space.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, at the start of the year, you had Tartan Warrior, and it was quite interesting listening to the run through of that, because obviously they're a training centre as well. Sometimes they just had 1 lane on an obstacle. And I guess that's also what pushed me and gave me the confidence to run a race at Body Hub, is that if another training centre can do it and they can find a way to accommodate that, then why not here? But I think, yeah, it does come down to tactics. let that person that's right beside you go so you can get a breather so that you're fresh and you hit the obstacle harder. And yes, because you're right behind them, you're putting that pressure on, maybe forcing them to make a mistake where you've managed to get your heart rate down for a couple of seconds before you then start that obstacle. As Chris said, it is going to be tactics. The other thing that plays a part is obviously the weather. So it might sound odd, but Body Hub is completely covered in wood chip, and that tends to hold a little bit of heat. And the weather that we've been having of late has been quite good, quite warm. There's, apart from the forest area, which Chris, you've ran through. Tim, I'm not sure if you went down or not. It's shaded. It's very much shaded there, but your mile, half mile out and half mile back, and the obstacles, they're in full sun. So if it's a warm day, that will also have an impact depending on how people perform in the heat. So yeah, there's other factors to consider as well.
It'll probably rain. We've had our sun. The sun's gone. That's it. No more sun anymore. Summer's been and gone, mate. Chris. No worries. We've had our 5 days.
Well, I am known for my weather watch, and actually at this moment in time, and yes, we're about 10 days out, you've got a good run of sun. So Wednesday 28th, 26th, Thursday the 29th, 27th, Friday 27 degrees,
Ooh.
Saturday 27 degrees, Sunday 26 degrees.
Wow.
So it's looking good, guys.
That will factor in. That will factor in, because as I say, it's quite odd how the wood chip holds the heat.
That was hot there on the weekend. That was coming up hot.
Yeah.
Got a nice tan, I did.
So I see, Daryl, on your website. So this is bodyhub.online, and then you can go to our obstacles. Quite a lot here. Are these all going to be in play? And I'm assuming kind of possibly from next week or so, you will start to do something a little bit different that anyone that's trained, Tamar and Chris and others, they probably won't get to see kind of the final layout of what the beast is going to be.
So sorry to disappoint your research, Will. The website obstacle list needs updated. There's a lot of change. Still been the same before. Tamar will have seen more so the changes that have been happening over the past couple of months, and there is still more happening. It may be close to the wire, but everything will be finished how I want it to be finished. I am keeping a couple of things under wraps, like the configuration of the low rig, configuration of, we've got what we call the Goliath rig, and this is maybe something worth pointing out. So Goliath rig is 85 feet, so it's quite a length, and it's divided into 4. And what we're going to have is a touchdown point. So it's going to be broken, those 4 sections. Again, you want to make, you also want to make it capable. You don't want to be a complete jerk and make everything really hard and people can't complete it and just annoy them. So the 85 feet is divided up, and there will be a couple of touchdown points, 3 touchdown points, of which is also, if somebody touches down, they'll be told they have to move to the side to let the person behind them carry on through. Where am I going with this train of thought? Oh yeah, sorry, the configuration of the obstacles. So yeah, there's a configuration within the Goliath rig, which will be under wraps as well. So it's a difficult one, because at the training centre, people can come down and see, and they get a feel for the place, and they get on the obstacles. I guess that is an advantage. So that's why I do want to keep some things under wraps in that regards. But yeah, in comparison, from what you see on the website, things are very different. Very different.
Yeah, you was talking us through that at the weekend, saying what sort of changes you were going to make, and me and Darren were both so impressed with how this obstacle gym is, and we were surprised we haven't been down there at all, because it is probably one of the best ones in the country.
Yeah, it's definitely very good for us living in Essex, that we can go to a wild forest and then we can go to Body Hub, and they're completely different, but both good in their own rights. So there's quite a few of us that try and train at the different centres, and it's definitely good to do that as a racer, not get used to one. But yeah, seeing all the changes that you've made, Daryl, over the last few weeks is really good, and I'm very excited to see the rest of it.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think, when you run a training centre, I think I spoke with Chris and Darren about this in the weekend. I mean, we all share responsibility, don't we? The racers, you guys, you share the responsibility of attending as many different centres and races as you can, because that helps you grow as an athlete. It's a training centre's responsibility to keep adapting the training centre to challenge the athletes, and equally then the same with RDs for the races that they put on. So yeah, I think it's important that the centres do grow and do change. It can only be a positive thing.
Yeah. Training centres are definitely the nuts and bolts of an OCR athlete's sort of foundations. If you don't have the places to train, then when it comes to competition, you cannot be in a competitive way that you need to be to actually compete in obstacle racing. It's definitely the key component to any obstacle racer's training, especially on hard obstacles like the European style ones, because if you're not training obstacles, you do not have an advantage over anything. It's okay in Spartan races where you can get by with just a few carries and a few pull-ups, but when it comes to actual obstacles which test multiple different sort of aspects of your body, you need to be able to practice what you're doing, and under stress and under duress. So yeah, training centres are key to obstacle racing, and I think we're really lucky in the UK. Yeah, because in the UK,
I think it's really important. I was going to say, I think it's really important that athletes do as best they can. I mean, it's not always possible from distance and finance and so on and so forth, but to try and to attend as many different centres as possible, because they all offer different flavours, different obstacles, different pieces of advice perhaps, and it can only help you grow as an athlete. You know, if you just spin at the same place all the time, you become very good at those obstacles, which is fine, but you obviously want to continue to grow.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm unfortunately based up in the north, and there's none around me. And I know you guys being down there, you're so lucky to have at least the golden triangle of Body Hub and Wild Forest and Rumble Fitness. So I had another message from Simon, which kind of goes into what you guys were saying. I was there last Saturday. It's events like this that will test even the more elite athletes' abilities due to its dense obstacle placements. And what with the spectators being so close will make it an exciting event. We'll come back to that. Locations like these are the foundations of where you learn and develop as an athlete, and so much more. It's a shame that there isn't more done to try and promote these centres through some sort of funding. You want the sport to grow, this is where you start. Absolutely, you know, people got to train somewhere, and what better to train than jumping over walls and being on rigs and things like that. Tamar, I'll ask you, because you've been there a while, but I'm going to take a leaf out of the accountability corners book. Spectatability, what do you think?
Well, the fact it's all concentrated in one area, so it's kind of the obstacles, there's maybe 4 lanes and then a running track around the outside, so you can quite clearly see a lot of it. And then some of the other rigs, I'm not really sure, maybe Daryl will tell you the extra bits, but you can kind of stand next to the low rig when someone's on it, so you can see that really well. You can obviously, when we did the Winter Beast as well, I could see, you know, other people going round and doing their lap, so you get a good idea of where everyone is. So the fact that there'll be lots of racers and you can probably see most of them on the whole course, and then obviously the extra bit that will go out through the forest onto the field now, so you should get a good idea of an actual race. I know it'd be like more time trial with the waves, but you'll be able to see the main contenders. Hopefully those going for the podiums will be in the same wave together, so yeah, it'd be really good to see.
Oh, there's more than that. He's got tables and chairs, and he's got everything there.
Teas and coffees.
Teas and coffees. As soon as we arrived, me and Darren was like, hang on a minute, this isn't like any other training centre that we go to. It's nice.
And the camping area as well.
Yeah.
I'm a bit annoyed that it's only for people far away, because I said I'd love to go and just camp the night there, and the whole, you know, make it a whole weekend.
Daryl should be able to arrange something for you, doesn't he?
I thought you can't live that far, Tamar, 5 minutes away or something.
Well, probably about 20 minutes to get there. So I don't know if that's too close, Daryl, is it? Am I allowed?
It is. It does lend itself actually quite well, because in the forest area we've got a World War II parachute over the top of a fire pit. So it's kind of a pretty cool area to chill out of an evening time. And yeah, we changed the centre around a couple of years ago, so we've kind of got what we call the field, and that's going to be where the camp area is. Just on the spectator point that Tamar was saying, we very much want to get people in as close as we can to the race, or to the racers. So there's a couple of areas that we're going to cordon off that people can get really up and close. But even where they are, they can see across the second and third lanes. So you're never going to be that far away from seeing people coming over the walls or on Olympus or on the balance beams, whatever the obstacle is that you're going to see. You're going to be in the action. And that's probably goes back actually, Will, to the first question that somebody posed, what makes it different? You, as a spectator, you're going to be able to get really in on the action. And get a real sense. You're going to be hearing the athletes breathing hard. You're going to see the sweat dripping off the face. You're going to be that close. So I think that's something also that is going to make this race a little bit different from others.
I think a little bit of self-promotion as well is that UK OCR team, which is Alan and myself, will be commentating live at Body Hub. So you'll be able to tune in on YouTube on the Sunday morning. Sure, it would be clear, or we've got some rabbits that will be there to take in all the action, but I'll be hungover because I've got a family party on the Saturday night after doing a 50k ultra in the Peak District in the morning. So I don't know what sort of situation I'm going to be in, but Alan and I will be live commentating on YouTube on Sunday the 1st. If you can't make it, sounds like if you're able to make it there, you're going to be right in the center with the action. Right, I'm going to move into the current top 5 standings. We'll talk about the races that are going, and Chris and Tamar maybe talk about the makeup of what makes a good racer for this particular race, and then we'll go over to predictions as well. So teams in the top 5, we have Nuclear Phoenix in first place, and then second Rumble Races. Only a few hundred points between it, guys. It's really very close. And actually in third place, I'm just seeing here, Fit Body Farm Freestylers only less than 100 points behind. In third place, we've got Nuclear Wild Forest in fourth place and Primal Fitness in fifth place. I will go to first place, Federica De Caria. Second place, Karen Macquarie. Third place, Charlotte Duhani. Fourth place, our very own Becky Neal. And in fifth place, Lizzie Brimicum. In the males, we have first place, Daniel Tickham. Second place, Russell Walsh. Third place, Morgan Maxwell. Fourth place, Finley Greenleaf. And fifth place, Jason Brunnock. In the Masters, we have first place, Stasa Scanella. Second place, Alex Young. Third place, Ramonas Wickes. Fourth place, Simon Briggs. Fifth place, Andrew White. And in the Masters female, we have our guest presenter, Tamar Barkley, in first place. Louise Ferriman in second place. Emma McCree in third place. Laura Haywood in fourth. And Ruth Battis fifth place. Chris, I'll go to you first because I know you've got the list in front of you. And Tamar, we'll talk about who's actually going, and let's talk about maybe some of the races that we think might do well because of the nature of this course being from anything else we've seen in the UK OCR series so far.
Yeah, so I don't even think this is going to be the end result of the athletes that are going to be turning up, but we've got some really good names there, like Andy Bright, Billy Stubbs, Catherine Bennett Wilson, Emma Kirkwood, Emily Bonney, Finley Greenleaf, Emma McKay, Ruth Battersea, Scott Holmes, Charlotte Dehaney, Simon Briggs, Stuart Canning, Tamar yourself, Wendy Brothers is turning up. I mean, we got some really, really good names there. And, you know, like I said, it's not going to be the end result of who's turning up, because I'm pretty sure you'll probably get some more sign up, especially after hearing this amazing podcast.
Well, we know that everyone kind of holds their, you know, we've done this long enough to know that everyone holds their card to the chest, especially, you know, those towards the top. And because we always record 10, 11 days in front, we know that there's going to be some other people there. Tamar, in terms of the race, and again, you've been there several times before, what type of racer would this lend itself to? Is it more, I think, possibly your style, or is it maybe a Federica or Andrea that's running? What sort of racer do you think would do well without necessarily naming the nerve?
Well, to be honest, I think this is a bit of an unknown race. Like I say, it could suit the fast runners, and yes, they've got to be proficient on the obstacles, but if they can run fast enough, maybe. Or equally, it is as long as you can stay with the pack and then do better on the obstacles. So yeah, it's a very difficult one to see. I know that some other people might be signing up. So somebody, for example, like Oliver Addy, who he's always last minute to everything anyway. Hopefully he'll be allowed to do the elite race, because obviously it depends on his age. But for him, he can obviously do the obstacles pretty much with his eyes shut. You know, it wouldn't be his heart rate will be low. For him, it's can he run fast enough to stay with the top men? So someone like him could be within a good shout of it. I guess it depends as well how much strength Daryl puts in. He hasn't really said, I know there's like a tired drag one way, but he hasn't actually said what the obstacles are going to be on the run. I know he says there's going to be a couple. So if there's a carry there, and also whether he's going to put a spear throw in, because that obviously changed things a lot at Spartan.
Hopefully not on lap 2, maybe on lap 1, right?
He's not saying anything.
Cards close to my chest.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Tamar, because it's that mile that sort of starts it off. It really does put its cars into the unknown, because we don't have that many obstacle races with that fast start and then a combination of big obstacles and then another run out. So you kind of hit 2 sections rather than having them spread out over the course. It's 6K, isn't it? So it's still a relatively short race, but 6K is long. I was trying to work out sort of what the time scale of like how long this race was going to be, and I'm still thinking it's going to be over an hour. Well, maybe an hour, 40 minutes, 45. That's quite wide variety, isn't it? Spaced it out. But because it's so obstacle dense, it really does change the pace. I mean, we've all hit obstacle sections hard, and running after that is difficult. But it all depends. The athletes who are going to do well are the ones that can recuperate quickly from that hard effort into a hard obstacle, big section, and then get out for another hard run back into another hard section. So you've got to fight for that last bit. It's like a extended 3K.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think you pretty much hit it on the head, that it's not just that obstacle after the first hit. You're going back out for another run, and then as you're coming in for your second and final lap, then it's all about endurance, isn't it? It's then not about, it's not just about then being good on obstacles. It's like, are you still strong? Do you still have it in you, the endurance in you to get through those obstacles too?
I think the second lap as well, where you've done it on the first lap, you might then do the obstacles differently because you've then learnt them. Or equally, if it's like a low rig and you might just do it arms only on the first lap, come the second lap, you might be like, I can't do that. And you have to do any kind of way just to get through. So that'll be interesting to see as well.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's a double 3K, isn't it? That's how we got to look at it. Double 3K. Which it is really, because it's 6K, so the maths work out.
That's good to try and say, Chris. We haven't mentioned penalties. Daryl, what are the penalties, if anything? What are the penalties?
So I've tried to do a lot of athletes to hear everyone's thoughts. So what we're going to go with is a carry lap at the end for each field obstacle. So it's right at the finish line, which is a bit annoying because you'll come over the last obstacle and want to head straight there, but if you've got penalties, you're going to have to veer left and do your lap or laps, depending on how many obviously penalties you have, and then you're back on the track up to the finish line. So yeah, I think that's the best way to be. Just with the center here, the tracks are wide enough to accommodate racing, but to have people drop down and give burpees, you're going to get stood on. So that's not really a great way to penalty people. And I think penalty adding time on at the end of a race, I personally don't really like, because obviously when the race is over, you still don't know if he's won, because obviously that has to be calculated and it takes a bit of the pizzazz away. So yeah, we've opted for laps, carry laps.
Tamar, I'm not going to ask you who's hot. That's Chris's, and I think it's a little bit.
Whoa. I think Tamar should choose who's hot, and it should account to Becky's score. So Tamar, give her rubbish picks.
But what I am going to ask you, Tamar, is what do you think are the ones to watch for Who do you think? Who do you think's going to do well in this? This is who's heart. So please, no pressure on you there, Tamar. And if anyone speaks to Tamar next week, this is not who's heart. But who do you think might do well on this kind of race?
I think Shyla, definitely. She's got a lot quicker. She's very good with obstacle dense courses. So she's definitely one that will be right up there. I think maybe Finley, depending on how his injury is in Costa Rica. Again, he can run, he can do the obstacles. He's proved what a great racer he is this season. I think I should maybe say Chris as well. I know where he's trained there as well. Seeing him going over, him and Darren will probably be battling it out. That'll be good to see. But then you've also got the likes of Emily Bonney, where she's been really working on her obstacles. Billy Stubbs, where, he trains at PT Barn. He's got a lot better at the obstacles there. Again, Claire Bancroft, who's my Wild Forest teammate, she's actually quite a dark horse when it comes to doing obstacles for the first time. She's like, oh, what, like this? And then just does it perfectly. So it could be a chance for somebody completely unknown who we wouldn't expect to be right up there. It'll be their race.
I think what's interesting is you've named some races there. The way I see it at this moment in time, once we've just got these names, this looks like a hell of a female Masters race. You've got Laura's there, yourself of course. I bet Lou will as well.
Losing Costa Rica.
Oh,
still.
Will she not be back in?
She wanted to go, yeah, but she's not. Yeah.
But there's with Battersea, so you've got a good number of the top 5.
Emma McRae as well.
Yeah, Emma, yes. So
yeah,
it's going to be a very interesting Masters race for you guys. Top
Wendy.
billing, I think.
We can't discount Wendy as well.
Yeah, she's down there quite a lot as well, isn't she?
Yeah.
So you mentioned Shah before. I know she's also in Costa Rica. So I guess part of this as well is maybe kind of going all out the weekend before, and then coming back. And I know going from west to east, you get a bit more kind of jet laggy. So maybe they've taken something out of her, but strong. Chris, what about you? So this is your who's hot, not just ones to watch. Who do you think's going to be top 3 men and women from the names that we already have, or maybe you want to just add a few more names in just in case you're going to go?
Well, I'll add a couple names in. I know that Andy Bright, he's been actually running this year really, really well. He trains down Wild Forest quite a lot. I would imagine he's probably popped down there a few times, but he's really sort of coming about now and showing his face at a lot of races. So I think he's got a good stand in there. And Liam Morrow, he was down there at the weekend with us as well. He's been having a really good season and he's really proficient on obstacles. And I think he'll make a bit of a damage at this one. But top 3, men and women, it's so difficult to say. Like you did say, like Shia, I do think like the jet lag might play a part of this. And then Tamar's going to be fresh. And Tamar's probably, well, she's right in front of us. I don't want to big head her up too much, but she's one of the best obstaclers in the country. So I just, we've got Russell coming down. It's a shame Karen's not going to be down. I think that would be a really good battle because Karen's amazing at obstacles as well. But I just hope we're going to get a few more people. Russell Walsh is coming down. I'm surprised he hasn't called any of us accountability corner guys up because he's always looking for somewhere to stay. Is he camping down there? Is he?
Yeah.
I knew it. Such a dirt. Don't let him camp there. He'll just take advantage.
We put up a bell tent with an ensuite as well for him.
No, because the thing is with Russell, once he comes, he won't go. He's like one of them people. Once you feed him, you just can't get rid of him.
It's like a stray cat.
It's like a stray cat. That's it. Russell the cat. But no, it's going to be a really good battle between the men. Ramsey's probably one of the ones to really watch here. He's obstacle proficient. I don't know if that 1 mile out front run's going to make too much of a difference because as soon as you hit that section, everyone's going to be coming back. Darren Martin, obviously, he's been training well. John Paul, he trains well down there. It's very difficult to pick who's going to be the best at this race.
Yeah, but you got to earn your Christmas bonus, Chris. So give me a top 3.
I'm going to go. I don't want to back myself, though, but I want to back myself.
Back yourself, come on.
I'm going to go. It always works against you. I want to go me, Darren, Russell. That's going to backfire big time.
Do you not think that Dan Titcombe's going to turn up, considering he lives fairly locally to it as well?
Oh, I don't know if Dan Titcombe turns up.
I love how you throw a hand grenade in there, Tamar.
Yeah. Doesn't want to knock
Dan's
himself
so
off the
fast.
podium.
And the thing is, Dan's obstacle game this year has improved. I've seen him on obstacles this year, and he is better. I mean, he's training down Wild Forest. His obstacle game is probably the best it's been. He is on top of it. So you can't put him out of the obstacle dense courses and the tricky things anymore. I mean, he's got the full package. So if he comes down, he's going to really make a dent. And I mean, this is the battle where if Mo was down here and Russell was down here and Dan was down here, it's the kind of race you want to see all these people come back together, because we've had them fast courses, we've had them longer courses, we've had the other courses. This is the one we need to see. It sort of brings everything together and makes it that obstacle dense one. It's what the series needs for the races. Oh, right. I gave you it.
So I'll give you an extra one. You know, if you want to put Dan in as a added extra, but who would you drop out of that top 3 you've given me if you're adding Dan in?
Russell will be out. Russell be gone.
You
hear that, Russell? That's from doing me over on messages when you've had a few beers.
Top 3 females? You just talked about Tamar, so it can't be just Tamar.
Just me.
Yeah, it's just Tamar. No, I'm going to go Tamar, Skylar. Oh, third is so difficult.
I also think Nicola might turn up as well, who's obviously been winning the age group ladies at the Spartan, and she was down there training the other day.
Yeah.
She's obviously not on the list.
On it then.
It's our very own doctor and doctor of coffee. I know they're in Costa Rica at the moment, but
I think they're still in Costa Rica, aren't they? They're probably going on another holiday.
All right, we'll put Nicola in then for you.
Yeah, Nicola.
Well, guys, thank you very much. Darryl, why don't we just talk about tickets, where people can find you, website, because again, this will go out about 5 or 6 days before the close. So, you know, if tickets are still open at that point, just tell us where they can get them and how much they're going to be.
Sure. So if you go to our website, bodyhub.online, on the main homepage, you'll see through the beast. And then you scroll down and you can book in. There is times on there, but just to make note, obviously depending on how many people actually book in, wave times may actually vary. So we'll see how that goes. But on the Saturday, we've got the Beast Ultra, which is a 6-hour race. So it's maybe 3K laps as you can. It's going to be a tough one, real tough one. That's £45. And then we have our fun run. So you can come along, you might take the kids, you can tackle as many obstacles as you wish or walk past them if you don't really fancy them. It's a great introduction if you kind of want to bring people along and introduce them to OCR. It's a great opportunity. So it's only £25 a ticket. Obviously, kids under 12, you need to go around with an adult. And then on the Sunday, it all really massively kicks off very competitively with UK OCR 6K, and that's £40 a ticket. And then followed in the afternoon by our base age group category, and that is £30 a ticket. So we have, with the age groups, we're including juniors obviously in there as well, from 10 to 12, 13 to 15 year olds, 16 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, and 50 plus. So again, depending on numbers, we might obviously consolidate some of those waves. But again, all those tickets and information is available on the website.
What time are we starting?
You're going to be kicking off at about 10 o'clock, but we're going to end at the
Lovely, jubbly.
Nice lay-in for this race.
God,
probably
so good.
Mention. I've kicked it up a little bit later because there's actually, and again, Timor and Chris, you'll appreciate this. When you drive in, you come through football fields, and there's actually quite a large football tournament on the same weekend, quite annoyingly. So I decided to kick it off a little later just to accommodate people getting in. So it might be advantageous if you are coming along just to leave an extra sort of 10-15 minutes above and beyond your planned journey, just to get in. It should be absolutely fine. Everything's going to be very heavily marshaled with sort of guiding traffic in, but you will be coming in a slightly different way. You'll actually be driving straight down, and you'll be driving alongside the running track on the football fields that we're going to be utilising on that day.
And that's quite smooth, isn't it? That's not rutted, is it?
What's that? The run?
Yeah.
Yes, you'll probably find out on the day, Chris.
Mm.
Don't give anything else away now, Daryl. That is it now for everybody. You can find my thanks to Daryl at the Body Hub. This is the Beast Race, which is the 7th race of the UK OCR series. You can find them also online. Instagram is My Body Hub. My thanks to Tamar Barkley for being our guest presenter today. You can find her on Instagram at Ativa_yoga. As always, we have Doctor of Science Chris Shipley. You can see him on Instagram at Obstacle Race Dude. Thank you to our supporters at British Obstacle Sports. So you can find them at Obstacle Sports. And if you haven't already, you should be following UK OCR on all the channels at UK OCR. The next one, as I've already mentioned, is going to be live commentary on YouTube, where Alan and myself will be chasing rabbits around the course down at Body Hub. So that will be from Sunday the 1st, probably from about 9:30 or so, as long as my hangover is in. But at least we have a bit of a lie-in, so that's even better. Great news. Thank you for listening, guys. This has been the preview of the Beast at Body Hub, 7th race of the UK OCR series, and we will see you bright and early Sunday, 1st of September. Bye.
Latest, people.
Bye.
Ain't no glory for the faint of heart. We all stars, win or lose, we don't play the part. And when the going getting tough, I get to going hard. You bring your best and you know I'ma tear 'em apart. We ready survival, rival. I ain't got